Shut up and sit down.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
When I'm on my bike, I can do the things I like. When I'm on my bicycle,
I look like a jackass.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence, and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way, like an improv conversation. Improvisation.
You are listening to the Dial Podcast with Matt Lee Grand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. We all have two lives. The second one begins when we realize that we only have one. Enjoy the podcast.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, man, the dang old boy ain't right. Man, I'm gonna talk about it, I'm kick them dang old ass. Man, I don't take... For God's sakes, Hank, act like an adult, man.
just try to run and listen.
Well, you know, Bobby, I told time don't take for me, man. They don't life too short, man. You don't want to hold no grudge, man. I thought, man, you gonna let little bygones be bygones, man.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von Turing. I'm here with Lance friggin' Hepler.
Lance friggin' Hepler.
Back in the saddle.
Back in the...
Friggin'
Wherever
Hepler.
I am. Wherever we are.
Wearing an Unbound Gravel t-shirt today.
Oh, I'm wearing the Unbound Gravel t-shirt.
Looking sharp, dude.
Look at my fancy Unbound... Is it too loud, Matt?
No,
Matt's-
it's not
Matt's
loud enough.
ears- Oh, Matt can't
But
hear.
I'm plugged into
3.
I'm plugged into 3.
Is that better right there?
That's a little better.
All right, cool.
Check this out.
look at that.
Whoa!
Check this out.
Actually,
Yeah, you gotta look at
You've
that.
hidden this. I haven't even seen this yet.
I know. It's my Unbound award, my podium award for making the top 5 because they went 5 deep. Mm-hmm. And it's like this custom made wood thing, and it's got the course on the back.
Whoa! It's got the course engraved in the back.
Yeah.
And it's this wood kind of piece. It's about the size of a very large hand or something like that. And it's
A steer.
a steer.
It's the steer head, which is the Unbound logo.
Oh, okay.
See
But this
that?
the Unbound logo part makes it look more like a skull of a steer head, whereas this just like the full effect. Yeah. This is cool.
It's cool.
This is a very cool award. You've picked up some nice awards recently because you have the buckle also from the other
belt
thing.
buckle from
whatever.
Sister Stampede.
Yeah, the Stampede.
Yeah.
Which one's more gratifying?
This was completely unexpected. The Unbound award was completely unexpected.
All right.
I shouldn't say the Sisters was expected,
But you wanted that one.
but I really wanted that one.
It's
And
a
this,
little bit expected.
Yeah, this one was, 10 miles left in the race. Hey, I think I might be up there.
There's a chew mark. Someone's been chewing on that.
Probably because I've been hauling it around all over the place.
That's a cool award. Good job.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
To friggin' Hepler's left, Mr. Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys look proud today. Proud and boastful of your awards. How many awards did I win this week?
Yeah.
0.
Aww.
That's okay. Maybe someday.
You're about ready to win the 20K award.
20K.
Yeah, you're just about, 250 shy of 20,000 subscribers. on
Oh,
your
that's
YouTube
true.
channel.
It's a big award that they give out at YouTube.
Yeah.
It's
Big
nothing.
pat on the back.
You get a big thumbs up.
Good job, buddy. You're a fifth of the way there to your...
Actually, that looking at the numbers, it'll hit this next week, probably maybe before our next podcast, depending on what we do with that. So
I looked yesterday just to see if you'd meet
it's
it.
close.
It's getting there.
It's close. Yeah, there's a lot of good videos right now that are popular, and so that when you have popular content that's recent on your channel, things grow faster, and it's fun to see it grow.
Yeah.
So
Fun times.
yippers.
Like it.
Yep.
You guys are looking old.
We feel it.
You look at the size of my big bushy mustache. Look at it. That has made a return. And
The
I got no
stash-
comments from it.
The stash, no, because it's part of you.
It's now part of
yeah,
me.
the stash is the youngest part of you. Okay.
That is true.
Everything else
Everything else is broken and a little
off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the stash is just like tried and true, coming in hot.
We have a lot of people that listen to this podcast, and it's a pretty wide range, pretty wide spectrum. There's probably a lot of young whippersnappers out there that just don't understand what it's like to be a little bit old.
Good. They shouldn't. They shouldn't understand, and they should completely ignore the process.
But we're the generous type, right? We like to share information. Let's talk about something today to help out those kids, or to talk about those, or to those people that are in that transitional phase, or they're clicking over to that 40 marker. Let's talk about the things that nobody ever told you about becoming an aging athlete.
I refuse to admit that I am an old geriatric aging athlete. No, that's not true.
Well, I mean, when you came into the podcast in a wheelchair, a lot of people would think right away, like, this is an older gentleman. Good thing that we got the handicap accessible podcast.
My hair's almost all gray. You guys have hardly any. You have a little bit of grays in your beards.
In the beard, man.
But my hair is almost all gray. So
I've got maybe a dozen gray hairs on my head now. My chin's a different story. It's really going quickly, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, I still have most all of my hair, and it's natural color.
This is how I think of you guys.
He just showed us a picture of an older couple high-fiving on
Geriatric 70-year-olds high-fiving each other.
Probably running a 1K in the park somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the dream, baby. That's the dream.
Matt knows this guy.
Yeah.
He's a local guy here in campus. I believe his name is Jerry. He's a senior runner.
He wore like a face shield all through the
the pandemic.
He's famous.
But like
Local legend.
He's running. He's like, he looks like he's. And if you listen to this, I'm sorry, Jerry, but you look like you're about 100 years old.
Yep.
I found out that he's only like 72.
I know. That's the
I'm
thing.
like, his run, he's going full bore, like 100%. I would walk past him.
Yeah.
But he's out there
he's out
doing
there
it
all the
every
time.
day.
But he wasn't not too long ago. Was it 100,000 miles that he crossed over or something like that? He tracks all of his runs, and that's what he accomplished.
I don't know. But his son was like connected to the triathlon group that I trained with or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly, it's like, I don't remember if it's a 5-mile route or something that he does. And it's like every single day at the same time.
Yep.
Wow.
He's out there, like, and it's kind of in the afternoon. So I think it's a lot of, we all see him a
It's
lot.
the Jerry shot on Lake Boulevard. Yep.
And that was the thing, is everyone just assumes that he's in his 80s or 90s, but he's really like 70s. Like, I'm like, oh, I think my dad's older than that.
Yeah.
And my dad can get out and run some. It's just the way that he does it, he just portrays himself as a older individual.
Yeah.
There's some hard living in there somewhere.
Don't know.
Don't know, but I'm guessing there's some hard living.
the running
but
is-
it's fun to ride past him. It's like, hey, Jerry. You always get to say hi to Jerry when you see him.
Anyhow, let's let the folks know what some things
is
are
it-
that maybe you should be expecting,
What's
and maybe
it like to get old as an athlete?
yeah.
What can you expect?
Lance,
The
what's
hard
something for you
truths.
being the elder statesman of the three of us here?
I'm 53. I'm almost 9 years older than Matt and 5 older than Jake, right?
Yeah, I'm 48.
Okay, something
Yeah.
like that.
Although I get to race with you next. Well, I could race with you in cyclocross this
Damn
year.
it. That is not good news for me.
My race age for cyclocross this year is 50, and I still can't wrap my head around that. But I'm 48. But that's just the way that it works.
Let's see. The first thing that you can expect, stuff is going to break and hurt on your body, and you're going to have no idea why.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just wake up and it's like, what the what?
What is going on? For the last, I hate to say this, for the last like couple months, every morning I've woken up and my right Achilles is so tight I hobble out of bed, and I'm like, what? What have I done?
I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. Sympathy pain for Matt.
Yeah.
It is sympathy pain
The
for
right
Matt.
right one?
It's my right Achilles.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. So,
Okay.
Here, let's show you some scars.
It's killing you.
I'm like, I do not want to do anything. I'm not getting on the pickleball court. I'm not going to play racquetball. I'm not going to go play basketball with my buddies because I know, like, the first sprint off, my Achilles is just going to pop. I shouldn't say that. Knock on wood.
We got a local cyclist, a friend of ours that rides a lot, and then took up pickleball and was being pretty competitive about it, and going out there and trying to handle all them young bucks, and blew out his Achilles. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where like. I guess this may be another thing too. We can come back to yours just a second, but you got to remember that your mind and your body are going to be playing in 2 different sports or
at
playing at 2 different levels.
They're
You know,
at odds with each other.
yeah, your brain's like, I am still 25 years old and I'm going to go out there and rule the world. And your body's like, whoa, hold up there, buddy.
Not happening.
Not so much. So,
Yeah, that's funny.
but coming back to your thing, that's 100% true. It happens to me all the time. Granted, a lot of my stuff is from getting, I don't know, doing stupid things and being hit by stupid things and whatnot. And it's just, you think it's all better. And then like, you know, a bunch of years go by and you wake up and like all of a sudden something tweaked while you're sleeping and you tore some scar tissue or something like that. And all of a sudden this, that, and the other hurts. That sucks.
Yeah, true.
So for the next one, I'm going to add on to what Lance began, because there's a lot of like, just like, you're old and it hurts. But I'm going to add on to it and say like, you're going to have some pains and things like that just aren't going to get better. Like ever.
Yeah, it's just the new normal for you.
Yeah. So like I talked about this before we press record, but it was like, oh, I come down the stairs sideways every day. Like there's no like day that I feel good. And and I've started to realize this, like, it's just not going to happen. Like this ankle will always be bad. Not that I can't run on it. Not that I can't do all kinds of cool stuff, but I'm not going to be chipper coming down the stairs each morning.
Remember the days?
Anytime soon.
Yeah.
Remember the days when you used to like run up the stairs and you used to skip a stair and sometimes even skip 2 or 3 just to see if you could do it? Or if you're coming down the stairs, you're like, how fast can I come down these MFers? And like your feet are like down.
Yeah.
And now you even think about doing that
You're like,
and you
"Ouch."
get hurt.
I can go up the stairs like that. The down the stairs part is like, no way.
Yeah, no bueno.
The ankle just doesn't work right.
The worst part is you go to your like doctor or something and you're like, hey, I'm having this issue with my knee. It feels kind of tight and weird and it just doesn't feel right anymore. And they're like, yeah.
You're old.
I'm like, well, wait.
They're just like,
Can
they just
we
look
do
at you and they're
something?
like, you're old.
No. I'm like, well, will it get better? Probably not.
So you've had like the drop foot issue we've talked about on the podcast, right?
Yes.
That's just not going to get better.
It's my right
New
foot
norm.
You've
Yeah.
gotten
will never work right again.
you've gotten a lot of improvement for that block of time.
There was 2 years where I had improvement, and then that's it.
And then you're
it
at
got
a
to a
point.
point where that's as much as it improved.
And you're just like, I this will be what I will be living with and that's if things are good.
Yes.
Like things can get worse.
right.
That's kind of how I feel about my ankle, where it's just like, it's not gonna.
It's not gonna get there.
That's what I think the difference is. It's like as you get old, like when you're young, you're like, yeah, maybe give me a couple hours and this pain will go away. And like now, we're like, no, it's never gonna go away.
Oh yeah, it's kind of crazy how much of a tolerance you build up to this. Like,
Yeah, you
especially
do.
being an endurance athlete, you know how to suffer a little bit, but the tolerances that you build up to them, it's pretty substantial. I often wonder, like, what would happen if I could, like, somehow, like, have, like, one of my kids or somebody who I know that's much younger just jump in my body for a day and just, like, take it for a test drive and see how that feels. Oh, my God, that's a beat-up, used piece of crap car that you're going to have to drive down the road and be wondering, like, who the hell sold this thing to me? So, kind of crazy. Hey, Lance, my shoulder always hurts, and it's never going to get better. What's it going to feel like when I'm your age?
You mean ancient?
Worse. It's just gonna feel worse.
Worse, huh?
Lance is
gonna
like
be
a couple
weaker.
years. He's like a couple years older than us, and we just let him have it. He's like you're like a couple weeks older than us, and I'm like, oh, you must feel horrible.
Oh yeah, everything's just broken and worn out.
Oh, well, this topic kind of came up because I feel like I'm made of glass anymore. I like wake up and something always hurts and things are always out of whack. And more times than not, it's been my shoulder, but it's been my ankle as well. And they wanted to do surgery on that, like after I got hit by the car again. That was something. And I told them no, and it's knock on wood. God dang it, I don't have any wood around here. I'm talking unbound wood right there.
Unbound wood.
Unbound wood is like gonna come in handy.
It's been pretty good, but for Matt, like coming down the stairs, my ankle, like the first 2 years after that happened, it gave out a few times, and one time I actually fell, and then I went to grab the railing with my left arm with my bad shoulder, which lasted for all about 0.5 seconds, which caused me to fall down. I'm like, like going down this. That was bad.
Yeah.
But the reason why this topic came up is like my hip. God, I sound like an old person saying, my hip, oh my God, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Okay, so
But
it's all going to come back to like, we should have the master bedroom on the main
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
with wheelchair accessible.
right.
It all comes back to wheelchair accessible.
Looking at my youngest, I'm like, how old are you now? You're going to be, what, 12 this year? All right, that means you're going to be moving out 6 years. Okay, we can get a ranch style house with a master on the single. Yeah.
That's right.
Start talking about that stuff at 48 years old. But
Oh, man.
the thing is like my hip, I broke my hip, the femoral neck in my hip. It will be 10 years in October or in September that I broke that. And they put a bunch of 3 big long titanium deck screws in there, and they put it all back together. And I rehabbed
Like 4-inch screws, right?
They are
Yeah,
long.
They're long.
When you look at, they're like, oh my gosh, those are in you. I'm like, yeah.
The doctor was like, "Yeah, I don't need these extra 4 screws from my deck. The deck will be a little bit loose, but this guy will be able to walk."
Yeah, exactly.
They just
Sticking
pulled
in
him
Jake.
out. They pulled him out. There's like some wood probably in your hip.
Yeah. So at some point in time, it could have been then. It could have been when I got hit by the car. It could have been one of the other 2 times that I've landed on my hip really hard and had big giant softball hematomas sticking out of there. But I tore the labrum in my hip. But all of those times, like that never reared its ugly head until like I'm out there thinking, my brain's thinking it's 25 years old and we're going to go super hard. We're going to sprint. We're going to try and win races and do things. And then all of a sudden everything cramps up and then this kinetic chain starts to break down, the dominoes fall, and the next thing you know, your hip's all jacked up. You're like, why is it hurting so bad in there? Why is it all swollen? And you go to the doctor, like kicking and screaming, I don't want to do this. But then he's like, oh yeah, you've got a torn labrum in there and it's being made worse by all these leg cramps and the hip flexor strain that you have and the quad strain that you have because you're out there doing all these stupid things as a 48-year-old man. But, the net of it is like, things will creep up on you and like all of a sudden things start breaking down like really fast. And if you're not smart about it, and none of us are smart all the time, you're going to find yourself in a bad way. So I've been dealing with this on and off now since last August, which is starting to really irk me.
Your
So
hip issues.
Yeah.
They're just not like going away.
yeah. And nobody ever told me that like these things are going to just start breaking down on you. Like, you're like, I'm fine. I'm going to be just fine. And I still feel like I'm 25 years old. I'll be fine. And I'm not.
You know,
I do not feel like I'm 25 years old. I feel poor. Poorly.
but you look fantastic.
Yeah.
You know,
No, that's not true.
one thing you guys haven't experienced yet
Uh-oh.
is the other thing that goes is your vision and your hearing.
What?
Your
You know what's interesting
your
is
vision
my
What'd you
wife's,
say? I can't
my-
see you.
My wife's younger than me, and her vision just went so bad. Like, she can't read any text anymore. She has her like phone font like super big
big.
now. It
So-
just hits.
I'm 53 and I still don't have to wear readers, which is really rare.
yeah.
All the other 50-year-olds that I know all have like 14 reader glasses around them. I have those, but I just don't like need them yet.
Yeah.
And it's because the lens in your eye gets less elastic, and so it can't focus on close stuff very well. And what I've heard is that as soon as you go to the readers and start using them,
It just
goes away.
over. Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah.
Like the lens just quits being
Can you do
elastic at all.
exercises to like work on that to create some
clue.
elasticity in there?
I have no idea. I mean, eventually stuff just doesn't stretch anymore, and the lens in your eye is one of those things that just doesn't stretch anymore. You know,
The more I'm listening to this podcast, the more I'm thinking that I don't really want to get old.
that is true.
This doesn't sound good at
It
all.
doesn't sound great.
Do you have a hard time reading your bike computer?
I don't.
Because
Not
it's
yet.
far enough away and the numbers are still big enough?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
However, when I get text messages on my bike computer, if I'm tired, I cannot read them.
Oh no.
They're too small to read. So
Huh.
I'm not seeing your text messages that you send me while I'm riding because I'm like, I can't see that.
I've actually had a few people come into the lab now and ask if we sell bike glasses that have readers in them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they
Like,
can't see the
like a bifocal thing would be interesting.
Well, and then I talked to one of the guys that, one of the reps that works with Tifosi, actually, who's a sunglass company that carries a more affordable line, but they're nice. And I said,
I
you know,
have some of their stuff and it's good.
yeah, he told me that they don't make those because it's not safe for
Yeah,
cyclists
correct.
to
Yeah.
wear bifocals while they're
Yes,
riding.
That would
So,
make sense.
but I've seen, God, who was it? Somebody was telling me that they had something. Maybe it was Sarah Gates, who's been on the podcast before, was telling me about something that she uses, and she had these cool looking little goggle glass things that she had that she says work great for her, and she has no issues, no depth perception issues, no like making her feel like she's going to lose control of her bike. So there are some solutions out there.
We do have a teammate who carries readers in his pocket.
We do.
Yes.
Nameless.
Is it?
He's a certain possible coach.
He's
and
been on the podcast
He's been on the podcast
recently.
many times.
that we maybe had to go back up onto Mount Lemon to find some glasses
he
that
did.
fell out of his.
He did drop a pair, and we had to go back and find them because he was lost.
Those
without
readers
them.
are so cheap, though. Like
And
my
these-
wife has
these
like
were-
30 pairs, and
These
they're
were
everywhere.
a special pair he got
There was-
for cycling.
There were a couple
Okay.
$100 too, so
Yeah,
that was
Okay.
worth the
Yeah.
the
to
trip to
go-
go find
we
them.
found
You
him.
had to
though.
bike back up Mount Lemon.
Yes, to find the readers.
It was worth it to get the
it was
extra.
worth it.
Yeah.
Funny. Gosh, you guys.
All right, we went too far with that one.
We always do.
If you ever have to go to the bathroom while you're on the bike,
Yeah.
I'm your man. I will show you all of the golden spots. I know where all of the bathrooms are. I know how to be discreet, and I'm your guy
Jake is the guy.
because there's this little thing called a prostate that gets a little bit bigger in you when you get older as a
Yeah,
male, and all of a sudden, I got to go to the bathroom all the time.
All the time.
Now, I don't help matters because I drink all the coffee and I drink a ton of water because I don't want to have the cramps that I talked about earlier and be able to perform and bonk and all that other stuff. I don't want that to happen. So I do generally have quite a few pit stops that I have to take, but I've got the bladder of like an infant child now, I think. And I have to stop and use the bathroom all the time.
What do you do in long races?
I start drinking a lot earlier, and then your body's a strange thing. When you're getting ready to go do a race, there's some things that it starts to do to kind of purge stuff to get ready. It's kind of like almost falls in line with that whole fight or flight kind of thing.
Yep.
So my body is very good about getting rid of that and purging all of the fluids prior to the race. And no joke, like 5 minutes before a race, you'll see me go over and go one last time. And after that, I'm usually pretty good. Yeah,
The gun goes off and your body kind of switches modes
Yes.
too.
it does.
To like, instead of like get everything out, now it's like hold on to everything and focus all blood flow on not digestion, but moving these muscles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's some weird stuff that goes in.
Yeah, and you start like sweating a little bit, and you start purging fluids in other
Yeah,
ways.
yeah.
So, once we get into a race, I'm generally speaking, I'm pretty good. Even some of the more spirited team rides, like the flogging ride that we do, or if I know it's going to be a really hot and heavy team ride, my body does the same thing. But all other rides, everybody knows 20 minutes in a ride, we're stopping because Jake's got to use the bathroom. Or you see me just sprinting off the front to try and create like a 30-second to a minute gap to use the bathroom real quick.
Don't chase him. Don't chase him. He's just taking a nature break.
Yes. So there's that. Why is it that I'm the only one that does that though? Like
Freak.
I don't think you're the only one.
there, well, I'm going to say I'm not the only one. There's quite a few other people now that I'm starting to see. Like they know exactly what I'm up to, and I will look back and they'll be sitting on my wheel, or I'm gonna stop the group and they're like, "Thank you." So, getting old, you guys.
Yep.
It's for the birds. I'm telling you. What else do we have on our list here? Oh. Want to talk about the inverse relationship that we discussed earlier?
Yeah, I think
So-
this is interesting, right? Because I work with all these young athletes, and like time is not a thing for them or whatever. And then for us, it's like we're all in a hurry. We don't have as much time, but we have the finances to like get the nice bike, to get the nice stuff,
Get the faster stuff.
to get the faster stuff
Yeah.
without the actual ability to do anything fast with those fast things.
And
So-
there's also the inverse relationship of when you're younger and you've got all the potential and all the talent and you've got all this room to grow and you're going to get faster, but you're kind of hamstrung sometimes because your budget just doesn't afford you to have the nicer things. You're not rolling with the ceramic bearings and the high modulus carbon fiber bikes and the super fast wheels and the aero this and the lightweight that.
Do you wear $30 Aero socks? Yes.
yeah, how are your socks?
they're
So you
they're
They get-
$30.
Did they get destroyed on the Unbound?
Yeah.
They did.
oh geez. So
sorry.
you're
I lost a lot of money in Unbound.
Yeah,
Everybody did. Anyway.
you're using what you can afford and you're using what you got, and it's not always the best thing, and you're going to have some penalty there in terms of weight or aerodynamics or what have you. And then all of a sudden things start to happen in life. You start to get a good career, you got a few bucks saved up, you start to put a little bit of your pension where your passion's at with your bike racing stuff, and you've got the nicer things, but then you kind of hit that spot where like, sweet, I finally got my fill in the blank bike that I've always wanted all my life. And then you start looking at the power meter and like, that's just, those aren't the numbers I was putting out. I'm getting slower. My bike got faster, but I'm getting slower. But what the heck? It's just like, you don't get to have like both things clicking on both cylinders. There might be, though, a little zone, a little time period in there where like all the planets align and everything's going great. But more times than not, that doesn't happen. Cause like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like going back to what Matt said, you maybe you do have the money to put into that, but you just don't have the time because you've got kids that are,
It's like all of a sudden you
soccer
start having
practices.
kids.
Yeah.
And then you got to work extra hours to pay for all the things, and college tuition. You got to save up for that. And you're doing all the things and you just don't get the time to do the riding the way that you want to.
That's right.
And then you're at home eating your wife's pastries that she made for you, and you're chunky
Are
monkey.
there
And
pastries in the kitchen right now?
probably,
Jake?
maybe.
I'll be right back.
I think that's, it's, you talk about that sweet spot where things might come together, but it's also a time where a lot of people start to have kids, and then you're not sleeping well. Your time is not your own anymore.
Yes.
And
Especially
you're
if you have kids
screwed.
between 6 and 16. If you have kids in that age range, they need more
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's probably, it's very different, right? Like there's like the 6 to 16 where you need to be taking them to places and doing things and whatever they need your help. And then before 6, it's like, they're like, yeah, you're not going to sleep. Your dad's going to get woken up,
Yes.
whatever it is. And so then they're 16 and they don't need you anymore. Guess what? You're effing old.
Yeah.
You're already old. At that
You
point.
are.
Here's a pro
So
tip.
old.
Here's a pro tip. Take a page out of the Lance Hepler book of life.
Yep.
Start having kids how old were you? Like 17 or 18 when you had your kids?
13, 14.
25.
25.
You were
okay.
25?
My oldest son was born. Was I 26? I was 25 or 26 when we started having kids.
That's not too bad. I thought it was actually a little bit younger than
Yeah.
that, but
I got married at 24. Boom. Had kids at 25 and 26.
Mormon way.
And yeah, it's the Mormon way. And
But-
then 30.
in 30. Okay, so you had your kids relatively young. My first one was born when I was, I think it was 30 or 31. So anyway, they're all still at home. Lance's are all gone. But Lance also was still an athlete, but there was large chunks of time where you were just working your butt off.
Yes.
So Lance got all of the things done and out of the way, like in his 20s and early 30s, and
I
then all
made
of a sudden,
all the money in that time, and I was a big, fat, 240-pound doughy man for many years.
Fat but happy.
but that's debatable.
well,
I'm just going to assume that you were happy.
Okay, fat and happy.
Okay, good.
I like that.
Good.
pushed all of his kids out into the world, and they're
doing great.
responsible individuals doing their own thing. He's shed this whole thing of having to work, and now he just goes out and plays bikes in his adventure wagon with his wife and living the good life.
I was talking to somebody on Bound, and they're like, "Oh, so did you drive all the way from Washington?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I goes, "Yeah, we're doing Belgian waffle ride in North Carolina next year." He goes, "What? Are you just on vacation?" And I'm like,
I've been on vacation for 5.5 years.
I couldn't
Permanently.
respond. I'm like, "Yes, I am on vacation."
I am on vacation. And next week will be vacation. And the week after that.
Yep.
No, I don't. I think that's just awesome. I mean, that's the dream. But I was going to
wasn't
ask
my
you.
intention starting out. Was let's get it all done early. It's just the way it happened.
Life just worked.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, where are you going next? You're taking off next week.
I am the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder.
Okay.
It's a 5-day gravel stage race. It's in Central
gonna be
Oregon.
awesome.
It's going to be awesome.
Okay.
It's like 330 miles and 30,000 feet of climbing in 5 days.
Because we're trying to schedule our next podcast so that we can do our tour preview. And we got to figure that out with all the schedules. So,
Yep. Yeah. Another
Yeah.
crazy week this week of trying to figure things out. And Lance got back, and that's why
back
we are
last
recording on a Friday, and it'll come out the same day after this is over. But here's another one to tell the kids. It's not necessarily something that you need to look forward to, but it's maybe more of this is something you should be doing now. Pay attention, start learning, because there will become a point in time where your fitness won't necessarily give you the payoff or the dividends that you're looking for. You're going to have to rely on your wisdom and your smarts to
Yes.
combat these young, again, whippersnappers that are going to go out there with, all the watts and all of the gusto and the recovery and all that other fun stuff. And you need to know how to play them.
Racecraft.
Racecraft.
Yes.
That's something that I love employing, and I love doing that. And they think that they're like, oh my God, how did you do that? And it's just like, just bide your time.
Surf wheels.
Yeah.
Do it.
I had a situation last weekend where at the Belgian Waffle Ride in North Carolina, there was a single track section like 10 miles into the race that was a single track climb. And we just as we were coming into the single track, I was at the tail end of about a group of 30. And I'm like, this is the wrong spot to be right before we hit the single track. So I took one dig and went straight to the front of the group.
Yep.
So
You're
that
like, I'm going to slow pedal this hill. Everyone behind me is going to curse my name.
That's right. So that was the plan, was, okay, I need to get ahead of this group so that at least I'm ahead into the single track, but it didn't matter because it was a single track climb and there were already 100 people ahead of me that were already walking. So, but at least I got ahead of the 30 people that I was with. But anyway. So yeah, racecraft.
Yeah, it's super important. I mean, can the same be said for triathlon, Matt?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. It's interesting too, because, and I've seen this with a ton of athletes, as you get older, you can't work as hard, but you also don't need to. You can kind of lean on your previous experiences and your previous like work, your muscles,
years of endurance.
There's something very true about muscle memory. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I've done this before. I can do this. And it's just like, you know, with a runner that used to do 100-mile weeks, another older runner that's had that in the past can do it in 60 miles a week. And it's just like amazing how much less you can do and still do pretty well.
Yeah.
So
Plus, especially if you're a triathlete, well,
Yes.
I hope you swam in high school.
yes,
Because it will pay huge dividends if you learn to swim as a kid, as opposed to...
you almost have to. When you
Yeah.
learn as an adult, you just can't move through the water correctly. So
It's hard to learn how to move through the water.
There's
Almost no
still
one
some
does.
really, really fast people out there, though, that are in their 50s, right? And even 60s, probably to that degree. I mean,
oh yeah,
Yes.
so here's an example. We've got Evan Price, who's our resident pro triathlete that comes on this podcast every couple of years. Sorry, Evan, just having fun.
sporadically.
Yeah, he's busy training. He's down in Bend doing his thing. But anyway, long story short, we did our time trial, the Michael Myers Memorial Time Trial. Evan went out there thinking, I am going to crush this thing. I'm going to break course records. I'm going to kill everybody. He got beat by a 50-something.
He did. Who is a very crafty road racer who was on a very slippery time trial bike and gets very small. So
Yeah, and so we talk about racecraft. I mean, he knows his body down to a T. Granted, Evan does too, but how crafty are you getting when you're doing a time trial by yourself?
right.
I mean, you can't lean on anybody else. It's
No.
just you.
It takes some time to get into an aero position that you can actually produce power at.
Yeah,
This
I think
is
it
true.
takes over a year of work with a bike change or anything like that to be like, oh yeah, I can produce power in this position correctly.
Do you see him, Paul, doing
Boursier.
doing constant work on the TT bike to be that fast? Granted, I'm sure
No.
he's putting some time in there, but his jam is like what, crits and road races and cyclocross.
But if he's done it in the past and he can lean on that history,
Yes.
then that's the key, right? It's just like, oh yeah, I've done this.
Yeah.
I just got to be here and here and here, and I got to make this turn this way, and then
Right.
dig for the finish. And he probably just paced it better.
Yeah, that's also probably true because he's been racing
Yeah.
time trials for
He's like 20K, then the wind's
Yeah.
this way, and I know this course goes this way, and then this, and I just like, all right, this is where I need to move a little bit. This is where I should put power in. This is where I should ease up, and he can probably just figure out like historically, this is how to pace a good. Wasn't it 20K
Yeah.
something
roughly? Yeah.
Okay.
something
So
like that.
that's Paul's mindset. What's Evan's mindset?
Evan, go fast.
Cut it out.
Evan, do all watts. Evan, go fast.
No, he's smarter than that.
Yes,
for
he is.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, Evan's another guy that would like clearly know that course extremely well because he goes out there and does a
He's
lot
the
of training
local
rides.
legend.
He is
Local legend.
He is
Evan Price.
not just a Strava local legend. He is a Vancouver Camas local legend, living legend for sure. So I mean, I imagine that Evan would probably look back on that race and try to like critique it, like, okay, what could I have done differently? Like maybe he can look at the pacing information if he looked at the power data and he could see, okay, like, I could have moved through this turn faster, and I probably could have closed faster, and I don't really remember what the wind conditions were, but maybe there was something there too.
But so here's where the experience comes in.
Yep.
So for Evan, he's done races like this, what, 40 times or something like that, or maybe more,
Less, maybe.
less. And Paul Boursier has probably done it
100.
300.
Yeah.
And so just with that much experience, you just know more.
It's
you just learn more.
And a lot of people think like, well, there's all this effort that goes into like learning all this stuff. It's interesting because if you think about it, Paul and experience, it's they don't have to think about it.
Yeah, they
like
just know it.
The effort that goes into thinking about this stuff is real effort, right? And so when you're racing or whatever, you got to think about this and this and this. But if it just comes naturally to you, it's.
And Paul's been doing it since a teenager.
People will look at you and say like, "Oh, it seemed like you did that. It seemed easy to you." It's because it is easy for them, right? It's like
don't
they
have to
didn't even
think about
have to think about it.
Yeah.
Just like this is the natural thing that you do, and it comes with a lot of time.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's one benefit. Is there one benefit to getting older? Not much. Racecraft.
That's about it.
All right, another one for you real quick. If you don't recover, you're gonna die.
Recovery becomes much more important.
Yeah. And die could be figurative. It could be just you're gonna get bonked or dropped or crack or
But sleep and recovery, those.
Oh, yeah.
I guess real athletes really pay attention to that stuff. But man, you get away with not sleeping as much when you're younger.
I can remember in my early
Can't do it
30s,
anymore.
people talking about like this whole periodization program and talking about how they're going to go through these different blocks in the off season and how they're going to only do like long zone 2 rides. They're not going to do any. I'm like, I don't need to do that. I can stay sharp year round. And for a lot of years I did.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I think I need to like back off a little bit, take a little bit of time off. I need to have some less intense time in my schedules.
Yes.
If I tried to stay sharp year round now, I would die.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that brings up another good point that I've thought about as we were talking about this is aging athletes, you go through peaks and valleys.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to go through peaks and valleys. Hence, like, look at me last year compared to this year.
Yeah.
Same stupid brain, same dumb face, but I was a much slower athlete last year because I was just in the depths of a valley. Even though I was still trying to train and do things, COVID got me and I broke my ribs and I had injuries and I was more overweight and it was hard for me to stay sharp. Whereas this year I am riding a peak and I don't know how long it's going to last, which is why I've been
Racing.
every weekend because I know it's not going to last. Am I going to take a dip before cyclocross season starts or am I going to implode before cyclocross season starts? One of those things is going to happen.
We're gonna find out.
We're going to find out.
It's kind of funny when
Tune
you're out
in, people.
when you're out there riding, and Lance is much more on a program right now, following probably still not
Training
training
road.
Training road.
365 week program.
Exactly.
for-
Matt, are you following anything right now? No, you're just kind of going out and doing your thing. So you've got that two ends of the spectrum. I'm kind of in the middle, and it's kind of a weird thing in that I have my week kind of set up. I don't have like an actual structured program that's telling me you need to do this many watts for this long on this many times on this day and ride for this much time. I'm not doing that, but I have a pretty good idea of what I need to be doing. So I know what day is going to be a zone 1 recovery active ride. I know what day is going to be a zone 2 ride. I know what day I've kind of set up rides that the team's going to go out and do that I know are going to be like intervals longer and intervals shorter. And then I have my like just my longer zone 2 that might have some sweet spot stuff in there. And then, I just know how my week's going to go. And that works for me, and I will build off of that. And that, for all intents and purposes, for me at this stage of things and everything that got going on in my life, that's more fun than following like a structured program where I'm only going to be doing these things and more times than not doing them by myself, and that's just the same.
But I think the benefit of like what Lance is doing is you may have better athletic performances if you follow a stricter program.
100% agree, but I just
the
don't.
trade-off
I
is
don't
like-
have that. But what's funny is I'll go through that, and there's stretches of time where it's like 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending.
Yeah.
I'll go out and do these rides, like our Tuesday gravel ride or the flogging ride or some of the team rides, or when we go do something that's a little bit more strenuous. I'll go out there and I'll feel like $1 million, and I'll be chasing people down. I'll be dropping people. I'll be doing all of that stuff, and then I'll get to a certain station, and I'm like maybe a couple weeks later, I'm like, I just can't make watts. I feel like crap right now. I am tired. And I'll look back, I'm like, oh, it's because you haven't come off that for
There hasn't been a
8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks. I'm like, yep, that makes sense. Need to take a rest week in there. So my body will tell me that. And maybe if I was a little bit younger and still a little bit dumber, I'm hoping I'm a little bit smarter now, but I probably would have pushed through that. And that can cause some pretty adverse things, like becoming overtrained in the symptoms that you can get for that, and how it can actually screw up an entire season and actually cause injury. I guess that, hopefully now I'm paying a little bit more attention to that and I can be a little bit better, but you have to listen to your body. You have to monitor what you're doing, and you have to take some time off. You have to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Recovery, it's almost like a linear thing. It's like the older you get, the more recovery you need in between hard workouts too.
Yeah.
Not just like week by week periodization stuff, but also like almost weekly, daily, or whatever. Instead of, for high school runners, we can basically do hard workouts. You could do it 3 times a week. And then when you get to college, it's usually like, nope, let's switch that to 2 times a week. And then as you get to my elderly age, it's like no times per week, because you'll never recover from this workout. But
I've basically been doing 2 sets of intervals a week for the last 4 months, 4 or 5 months.
it's a good set of time for you.
One on Tuesday, one on Thursday. I've been doing interval sets on those 2 days,
working
and
well.
then still racing on the weekend. So, and that's been
So it's
working
3.
well. Except for like the last 3 weeks, I've done no interval sets because these races were big.
Yeah.
And I'm traveling, which made it really freaking hard
Yeah.
Yeah.
to do interval
I
sets.
say chase a couple segments. We'll call those intervals for you.
Maybe yes, I did.
Maybe a few.
Did you get some? We're gonna backpedal.
Maybe I did.
Is it time to backpedal yet?
One more thing, and then we'll get to that.
Okay.
The last thing, and this is probably something that's a little bit newer, maybe in the last 10, 12 years. And we probably couldn't say this 15 years ago. You start having to rely on apps to manage your life and your training and all the other things to make sure that you're not going to die.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're relying on Whoop straps. You're relying on body batteries on your Garmin watch. You're looking at Training Peaks. You're looking at Trainer Road. You're looking at all of these different apps that are constantly giving you feedback.
Yeah.
So you don't die.
I don't know if it's. Part of me thinks as a youth athlete, it was like you might have a watch, you might not. You go run and you get faster, and you'll be as fast as you ever were. And then you start looking at all this data, and you're not really getting any faster. I do think there's something to be said for power meters and training based on power, but I think a lot of and this is coming from a guy who has a dedicated YouTube channel of this stuff.
Who's wearing 2
watches. And I'm just like, I don't think you need all this stuff. Personally, I think it's good to track stuff like sleep, because if you can track it, you can try to improve it. And I do think as you're getting older, sleep becomes a really tricky subject. I feel like my sleep has gotten really crappy, and I really want it to be better. So it's something I'm working on, and tracking it sometimes helps you with that.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like, do you need to know the exact distance that you ran? No. You don't even need to know the exact distance that you ride. You will get better if you just go ride your bike.
Yeah.
So
the sleep metrics are kind of a funny one too, because I got a watch specifically so I could start tracking my sleep. Again, after I got hit by the freaking car, I wanted to know how little sleep I was actually getting, so I could actually start to work on that and make it better and find times during the day that I could rest. And then I kind of became addicted to wearing a watch, because I actually hated wearing a watch prior to that. And now you never see me without a watch on. And you can almost gamify that now. You can look at a sleep score. You can look at how much you slept, and you can look at all of the different deep and the REM and the light and how much you were awake during the course of the night. And there are ways that you can share this with friends. And so you can compare and contrast how well you slept last night. And the fact that they have gone as far as to gamify sleep, that's actually kind of a cool thing. I mean, because cool. I'm throwing down, dude. I'm going to get myself 7 hours tonight, and we're going to get me 2 hours of REM and That's interesting to me.
I got less than 7 hours of sleep last night. For me, that's not good. I want 8. I want 8 hours of sleep every night, and I know I'm far short of that for last night. And then I like looking at I don't do anything with the sleep stages, but I do like looking at it. And I just think it's a spot that I can work on. So you got 625.
Yeah,
So you and I slept similar amounts.
I was 6'10". I did not sleep very much last
we,
night.
all
Hepler.
three of us.
Yeah.
That's crap sleep, right? Like
Lance,
we need to do better.
Do we need to press pause on the time out real quick so you can go take a nap?
That sounds nice.
Yeah,
Some Geritol
I
real quick.
would love a nap.
What was your sleep score last night, Matt? Your Garmin sleep score.
Yeah.
Mine was at 74.
Mine's 79.
79, so Matt wins. Lance, did you get a sleep score last night as well?
Mine was 78.
So I suck.
But I
So
had
all of that, but that's all not that great.
My-
I think like a couple nights ago, I was in like the 90s maybe or 80s. Like I have been able to do it.
Yeah.
I just need to.
Sans heart rate monitor, watch Dealy Bobs here and,
Right.
and apps and all that stuff, we wouldn't be talking about sleep. And I wouldn't be thinking like, hey, I got to get a better sleep score.
Which night was that?
that was last night. So I had an awesome recovery score, even though I didn't sleep very long.
Yeah, but that's probably because it's looking at your HRV.
Yes, which was up last night for some reason. But I also did not work out yesterday.
That would be why your HRV is up.
Yep.
But it's I don't know. That's a recovery score, right? Not a sleep
It's
score.
Whoop. It's recovery score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The raising your HRV thing is interesting. I think like after these big crashes, after just getting older, your general state of HRV is going to be lower. And then as you, and you can kind of improve it and things like that. There's ways to do that, but it's interesting what Garmin is looking at is they'll take like a 3-week baseline and they'll say like, let's say your HRV is 40 or whatever on average over the past 3 weeks. And then each night it might be like 45 or 35 or whatever it is. And then those numbers start to kind of tell it like, okay, you didn't work out yesterday. Now it's a good day to work out.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you're in the 50s for your HRV. That's good. Mine's like 40 or low. It's not good at all.
I was 72 last night.
Interesting.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Those are
So
good numbers.
For people that don't listen to HRV, is there an optimal range? And it's going to be very driven or specific to the person.
It's specific to the person.
It's completely
Just
specific
like
to the person.
your resting heart rate and your max heart rate are going to be different
Yep.
than everybody else's. And it's not
Yes.
saying that it's better or worse, but they just need to understand you. And you need to make sure that you stay balanced and within a certain zone that's specific to you. Correct?
Yes. I mean, generally you want your HRV higher if you can. That's the general consensus, I think.
Yes. But I know a lot of world-class athletes whose HRVs are normally in the 30s or the 20s, and that's just, and they're still fine athletes. So it really is
Physiology's all
person-specific.
a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's all interesting stuff. Anything else that you guys want to toss out there? Anything that nobody ever told you about getting older that like you woke up one day and like, dude, what the F?
I think, the only thing I was going to mention was sleep was a thing where I think you sleep a lot worse as you get older. It's not good.
That's true. Things are always going to hurt and you're going to wake up and you're going to be hurt and you're not understanding why that happened.
I have like gone down the rabbit hole trying to improve my sleep. I mean, I've added all sorts of
Me
things
too.
that I never would have done before.
That's what I'm doing as we speak. I'm constantly trying to work on it. Like, what can I do?
I wear a sleep mask.
I've got one
almost
next to my
every
bed. I
night.
don't use it, but I need to.
Especially when we're traveling because it just blocks everything out.
That's good.
I use a noise machine, which I never did
I think
before.
the noise machine is a good idea.
I've been wearing a nose strip to open
Has it
my
helped?
nasal cavities. Yeah, it has helped me breathe better through my nose.
Which one do you use? You have to send me a link, man.
Do you snore?
I don't snore.
Okay.
But when I'm over like 200 pounds, I do snore.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I do that. I've also been wearing blue blocking glasses from like 9
screens.
p.m. on.
Yeah.
So just to help my brain like settle down.
Yeah.
So it's all these crazy things. So yeah, you see me asleep at night and I got an eye mask and a dumb thing on my nose and I've got my mouth like shut so that I and
Do you tape your mouth shut? I know
I've
some people
done that
are
a
doing
few
that.
times and
Tape your mouth shut.
know,
yes,
it's a thing.
that's a big thing. So that
it's kind of new. It's kind of a new thing where you don't want your mouth. You don't want to be like mouth breathing all night. I don't remember why. It's not good for you.
it's
but
bad. It's actually really bad for your teeth, believe it or not.
yeah, I believe that.
Really?
Yeah.
I generally breathe through my nose. Once in a blue moon, you'll wake up and you'll have like some dry mouth, and it's just because your mouth was wide open. For me, it's generally when I fall asleep on my back and I'm a side
Yes,
sleeper, like my
yeah.
mouth will be open, and it's like,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
like back to my side, close the mouth, everything's fine. So
Yeah, that's a new thing is to tape
taping your mouth
tape
shut.
your mouth shut so you breathe through your nose better and it's healthier and better for you if you're breathing through your nose. The nose, it's the air's more filtered. It's better for you. Does it really make a difference? I don't freaking know. Some of it just seems like voodoo, but But you know,
but that's the thing is like,
but that's the
you
thing.
see us working on
I'm
trying to
trying
get
all
sleep.
these things, and I know that I have better quality sleep if I'm breathing through my nose.
Yeah.
So, but you know, sometimes you're congested or it doesn't work or
Yep.
whatever reason for me, I can't breathe through my nose if I'm laying on my left side, but if I'm laying on my right side, I breathe better. What the heck?
Did that happen when you were 25 years old?
No.
Hell no.
I didn't even think about any of that stuff, you know? So I don't know.
Getting old sucks. Is that the
Yeah.
consensus?
One other thing too. If you had told me when I was, well, granted, I broke my back when I was 14, so I've kind of used this a little bit, but I sleep with, let me count it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillows. 3 body pillows.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
No, 6 pillows. Yeah, 3 body pillows, and then a cervical neck pillow that's made out of memory foam, and then 2 other pillows. And those 2 other pillows are mostly just to support my shoulders. The body pillows are to support my back. The cervical pillow is to support my upper neck where I have fusion. Oh my gosh, many pillows.
Does that cervical pillow help get your head in the correct position?
Yes.
Maybe I need to try that. I want to steal your nose strips and your pillows and get all the things for me to actually have a decent night's sleep because I sleep like crap.
Oh my gosh, how much do you appreciate your own bed at home? That I know we spent a fair amount of money on ours. It's a really nice Tempur-Pedic bed, but not for nothing. We've had it for
wow. They last a long time.
I think we've had it for like 17 or 18 years.
Yeah.
And it's still like, there's nothing that compares to that bed. It's
I don't
fantastic.
understand how. Okay, this is a total side rant. Why are there these like mattress sales every year where they're like, here's this and here's how often are people buying mattresses? Like, I'm thinking like once every 10 years, and these things are like every single year people are buying new mattresses. What's going on?
8
business
billion
model-
people on the face of this planet.
The business model isn't good. Let's sell you a mattress that you're going to keep for 20 years, so you're not going to come back and buy another one. So they're always on sale, so that they convince you to buy another one. It's just the mattress world business model.
How
It's
many
those kids, they
mattresses?
come into your bed and they pee on it, and
That's true. That's true. Damn kids.
Yeah, my Brandy can. You know, she accuses me of building a pillow wall between me and her at night, so
Oh,
she doesn't
you're not
touch me,
alone.
so that I can sleep properly.
yeah, it's my fort.
I do the same thing.
Pillow
Need to
fort.
build my fort and my wall. Don't come on my side. The dog has got to be in between us.
Get that dog in there. Dog's the safety zone.
Oh, jeez.
Oh man.
All right, here we go. That's just like too much old stuff.
Old talking. Speaking of old,
Champ here. Champ Bailey. I'm all about having fun.
how old is Champ Bailey?
Champ
He's retired.
is also 53 years old.
Is he?
I don't know.
Champ Kind, Champ Bailey, pick your champ.
Let's see what's going on. The huge news today, which was really sad, is there was actually a death in the Tour de Suisse. Yep. We're recording this on Friday, and it happened last night. So,
Champ Bailey's 44.
okay.
What about Champ Kind?
Champ Kind is probably,
He's 60 something now, I think, isn't he?
I don't know.
Keep going.
So-
oh wait, no. I'm thinking of a different guy. He's in his early 50s. Sorry.
The actor.
Yeah.
Born in 1962.
So he's 61.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you split the difference and you got Lance Hepler.
Yeah, here
Go.
I am. Gino Mader, he's a Swiss athlete racing in his home race, the Tour de Suisse, and
Team Bahrain victorious.
yep, him and Magnus Sheffield went off the course on a descent. Magnus Sheffield, he got a concussion and was okay, and Gino was not. So it was kind of sad.
Went pretty far down into a ravine.
He
it
went
wasn't
down
like,
a ravine. They,
like airborne and flying for a long ways and those long. I don't know anything about it. I just
don't
know that
know
he died
either.
in a ravine, and
Yeah.
you can just your mind starts to race a little bit and like starts to build a vision of what happened, and it just doesn't sound like it
For
was good.
both athletes to go off, it seems to me like maybe there was like a descending in their wheel
going for it.
touching or whatever.
I don't know. I didn't see any video of it. I don't know that I want to see
Yeah,
video of
exactly.
it. If
That's
there
the
is
thing.
video, they might be hiding it.
You might pull it.
Yep.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Makes my
Regardless.
mind go back to like descending Palomar, descending Montezuma's,
Sure.
like those kinds of things where you're going at breakneck speed, you're hitting these big sweeping turns, you're on a thin road tire that just takes a little bit of something to like, you start asking yourself those questions. Was that worth it? In the moment, yeah. You look back at the video, that was fantastic. And then you have something like that happen, like, ooh, probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Getting old.
So the Tour de Suisse, they actually neutralized today's stage. They did not race. They did a 20-kilometer processional tribute to Gino.
That's a good call. That's what they should do,
Yep.
I think.
So it should be interesting. So the Tour de Suisse is going on. There's some big names in it, but now there's kind of a big pall over it.
Yeah.
Because of this.
What do you know what's going on? Like who's GC leaders at this point? Wout van Aert is racing that one. Has he
there.
Has he won any stage? He hasn't, has he?
He was second in
Yeah.
one.
He got outsprinted by that African American guy. I can't remember what his name is, but he got beat.
Biniam Gourmet.
Yeah.
I think was his name. Let's see. The GC right now. Oh,
Don't know.
yeah, it's Matthias Schoolmore, a Trek rider, and Juan Ayuso from UAE has been kind of crushing it. Evan Pool's in fourth at the moment.
It's interesting that he's in that fourth place position. You'd think that he would.
Well,
be
he had
doing okay.
COVID from the Giro. I don't know how much that affected him. He's also not doing the tour.
That's what he says.
That's
what do you guys think? This is going to be a surprise entry for you guys. You've heard it here first on the Dialed podcast. Evan Poole is doing the tour.
What's his name? Lefevre has said no, he's not going.
Well, that's just
so.
He
but
usually
Lefevre,
sticks to his guns too.
He does usually stick to his guns.
Yeah.
Pretty stuck in his ways.
True.
Just my thoughts, but I don't. I think it would be fun to see him. I don't know, but
Last minute,
Yep.
he's going to be like the day before. They're going to be like, by the way.
yeah. Now, Tour de Suisse is just a week-long stage race, correct? And
Yes.
they will be finishing up on Sunday.
I don't know.
Saturday, Sunday, somewhere in
And
there.
who knows if this changes stuff?
It might change things.
And is this the last big one leading up to the
Yes.
tour?
Yeah.
And guys are trying to get sharp.
Is there like a Slovakia thing or whatever race?
There's
There usually
also there's a Belgian race going on as well that
But usually it's like the Dauphiné and this Tour de Suisse are like the two big ones, kind of tour prep.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Belois Belgian tour is going on, and it's a couple stages, and a tour of Slovenia is also going on. So there's a few smaller stage races going on.
You know what's interesting about this year's tour is like it kind of kicks off. I mean, we should really talk about this. You know, with a tour preview, we should talk about the courses and how it lays out week by week. But it kind of kicks off pretty aggressively. There's some kind of mountainous stages really early. And it'll be interesting to see because I kind of have this gut feeling like you might kind of need to come in a little bit hotter than usual. Usually it's like you want to be hitting on all cylinders on week 3, but I don't know.
It's usually relatively flat. They kind of like
usually
not
ease
ease into
into
it, but
it. Yeah.
they do ease into it, and that bodes well for like sprinters and
Well, and Tade to recover a little bit more,
Yeah.
Pogačar, for him to have a little bit more time to recover. Whereas if I was like Van Gogh, I would be like, yep, we're going to go get some minutes because later we might not be able to get minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it could play to an interesting strategy. Like, and then it's kind of for us like, okay, well, who do we pick for some of these early stages? Maybe people will be trying to go after it. I mean, obviously, Evanco, Ribbenpool. I mean, he's going to be a hot pick, pick for all of us. But
I don't. Going into the tour though, I mean, looking at all the major players, looking at Vingegaard at how absolutely sharp he was finishing up last week.
Yep.
He looked unbeatable, and he made it look effortless.
Yep.
And then you've got Pogačar that, is recovering from his broken wrist, but he's out like riding his bike and posting pictures on Instagram. Granted, he's training, doing his thing. So you're like, how's this going to go down? And it's like, it's making for good stories.
We're not going to
Pogačar's
know
posting
till
a lot. Is he posting a lot to Instagram?
Yeah.
I should follow
like
him.
pictures riding with his girlfriend
And
or-
picture of a llama and like pictures of
Yeah.
his bike. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're out there having fun, buddy. Yeah, good on you. He's got the big giant smile on his face. And he looks like just to
You're like,
get
by the way, you got a race coming up, buddy.
Yeah.
You might need to.
What does he care? He's already got the contract, man. He's and he's already won it twice, so
Yeah.
let's go for it.
Maybe this is just him kind of like posting up some pictures to make it seem like he's not taking it so seriously. But when nobody's looking,
I guarantee you,
he's tearing pedals off the bike. Yeah.
I guarantee
He's
you
crushing.
It should be interesting. We won't know till like day 4. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
look at
his
me.
girlfriend.
Look at me riding with my girlfriend. Although
Yep.
she's an elite cyclist, I think.
She is. Yeah.
But still, good on them. Go have fun, guys.
Is that a newer girlfriend? Because I think
No,
it's
I
his girlfriend that he had like 2 years ago.
Oh, he's got his little wrist bracelet on, or not wrist bracelet, it's wrist brace.
Brace.
On
No
as
idea.
he's biking on some gravel roads and stuff. I'm sure that feels
Some of
good.
those
A lot
cobbled
of vibration
sectors,
there.
I am so looking forward to the tour.
It's gonna be
Oh
fun.
my gosh, it's gonna be great. I think I'm gonna be I think I'm gonna be out of town the first week of the tour. I'm really sad that I'm not gonna be part of the podcast, and I don't know I don't even know how much I'm gonna be able to watch because I'm gonna go do family vacation stuff. But
We'll
figure that out.
Yep, for sure. Anything else, champ?
There were some gravel races that happened last weekend as well. I've mentioned the Belgian Waffle Ride in North Carolina. The big race was 130 miles and like 15,000 feet of climbing.
Oh,
It was a
wow.
ton of climbing. And it came down to a 2-up sprint between Dylan Johnson and Adam Roberge.
And Robert pipped him again.
Yep.
Adam Roberge pipped him again at the line, like literally like 4 feet in front of him.
Oh,
And it was like on
they're teammates too, right?
They're teammates.
Yeah.
So it was all good. So
Poor Dylan. He just didn't have that sprint pop in him. But he's got a big motor. I mean,
he was in it. He was right there, and then just
needs to change his tactics a little bit sooner. Don't leave it down to that. I mean,
right.
play your hand. Play your card when you need to play your card. If you know that you can't beat somebody to sprint, go sooner.
Right.
Separate.
It was like the finish stretch was like downhill on pavement for a couple miles, and then it was a hard left turn onto a gravel road across a bridge, and then through a grass field was the final sprint.
Interesting.
So it wasn't like
It may have been like there's just no way. Like you don't break someone on a downhill road section.
no.
Roberts was probably sitting on his wheel the whole time too, right?
You got to beat him onto the gravel road. Like the last 200 meters were sketchy. You had to win into that anyway. That's another story.
But cool race though.
There was also another gravel race in Finland, which actually attracted about 1,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of big name Americans went over and did the race, even though it was a week after Unbound. But it was won by Tom Skunes, the Trek Segafredo rider.
Really?
Yeah, he showed up and ended up winning the race. So World Tour Pros, because it was in Europe and Finland. So it ended
Why
up
not,
being
right?
Pretty cool. So that's all I know. Champ is out.
Champ Bailey out.
Thank you, champ. How about some backpedaling, Matt? You want to go real quick?
Oh, I don't know what I did this past week or whatever. I've been running like every day so Kristen was out of town, and so that kind of limits a lot of my options with me being taking care of the kids and all that stuff. But I think I've put in a decent bit of running. I mean, nothing crazy, but like some 5-milers, some just running every day, and then swimming a decent amount. Not biking as much as I should, probably. Like I said, I think I had to do Zwift, even though the weather's been perfect here. I had to do Zwift just because got to keep an eye on the kids a little bit.
Hey,
I
do
can
what you gotta
usually get
do,
away
right?
for a short amount, but that's what I can do.
With your running, do you notice that your pace is getting better? Is it the same? Are you managing that?
I'm trying to keep the pace really slow because I'm trying to just build up like tissue tolerance and tendon, more of like a tendon thing.
Smart. Lance and I'd be out there doing sprints and wondering why like our leg fell off.
Why did it? Yeah, but like even though the paces are slow, I feel more like myself.
That's
good.
good.
So to parallel to cycling, like you feel like you're on top of the bike more and you're pedaling smoother and all that stuff. Same kind of feeling in running, maybe even more so, where you're like, ooh, you've got a little more bounce in your step. You look at your watch and you see stuff in the 7s as opposed to 11s or whatever it is, and you're like, I don't even feel that bad, and these times are okay. And usually it's after you've warmed up a little bit and you kind of get into that groove. But I'm just kind of rolling with it. I'm not doing any sort of specific workouts, and I'm not making a training plan of any sort. It's just like tissue tolerance. Go out there and make sure you're putting in some time each day or when the schedule allows for it. So yeah.
Shouldn't have gotten old, Matt. Shouldn't have gotten old.
You know what? I thought about not getting old, and then I messed up. I made a mistake. I stepped one step the wrong direction. So
And here you are.
here I am, old as F.
Yeah. As friggin' Hepler.
As old as freaking Hepler.
Not yet.
Yeah. I'm going to backpedal next because I'm sure Lance has got
Lance
a
usually
lot
has
more
something.
fun stuff to talk about. Just talking about all these stupid injuries. Like we went out, we did the gravel ride, and I felt okay. I kind of backed off a little bit, got home and put some decent numbers down, got home, and just my hip was killing me again. It was stupid. And then I ended up, God, are we talking about last week or this week now?
I don't know.
Oh, we'll talk about this week. We're halfway through it, and did a few other rides, and then I keep like just not feeling good. I'm going to back it up to last week though. Left the gravel ride early. I peeled off and rode home before we even got back into the park. Lance knows what I'm talking about with this.
Yep.
And then went out and was going to do the Wednesday lunch ride. I skipped it altogether because wasn't feeling it and leg wasn't feeling good. And then went out and did the flogging ride, and it was like one of the spiciest rides we've done in a long time. Numbers felt good. I'm like, well, maybe I'm all right. I'm feeling good. And then we did our fog hat ride, took it easy and did that whole thing. And went out ride on Saturday. I was so embarrassed by that ride that I didn't even make it like public on Strava.
I didn't even know you rode.
Yeah, I just kept it private, and I just like, you're gonna forget about this because it was a crappy ride. I felt so bad. I could not make watts. My right leg was just god awful trash. I'm like, well, at that point in time, I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna do the gravel race that's coming up. It's actually gonna be tomorrow. So fast forward to the next day, I'm like, dang it, don't give up on yourself. Maybe you can still do this. I went out, got on the bike. I'm like, I'm going to go try. And worst case scenario, I turn around and go home because it's crap. But this is the route that you're going to do. So I left from my house and I rode all the way out to Jones Creek, which is about 10 miles from here. And it's about 1,300 feet of climbing to get to Jones Creek. And then I got to Jones Creek. You climb up Jones Creek and then you turn left and then you go up the 1,500. That's like a 5 or 6 mile climb.
Yes.
And I was holding 320 watts comfortably on that entire, and not struggling at all. And I got to the top, I'm like, all right, that's not that bad. And then descended, rode home. I'm like, I feel pretty good. And then I end up getting like a top 5 on that climb.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was not expecting that. So maybe I can go do this ride. And then took Monday off because I changed up this week. I've been doing normal rides on Monday, but I'm going to take it off this week because it plays better if I'm going to do this race. We go out, we did the gravel ride this past week, and I was okay. It wasn't great, but I was still happy with it, and got home, felt like crap that night. I'm like, well, dang it, that sucks. And then we did the Zone 2 lunch ride. And I'm like, well, maybe I feel pretty good. And then I went and did the flogging ride last night, and going into it, I'm like, stupid leg hurts again. So I dropped down to the B group and just rode with them and had fun. And then today, again, we're supposed to do the slow ride, Zone 1 ride, but my leg hurts today, and I'm like, supposed to do this race tomorrow. And I've got such this conundrum of like, do I go do the race and just at least give it the old college effort? And the conundrum is like, I know I'm going to go out there. It's going to be 60 plus miles, over 6,000 feet of climbing. Yeah. It's not an age it's a state championship race. It's not like a 40 to 49 age bracket. They did the 20 to 49 age bracket. So you've got all these hitters that are going to be in there, and our own Paul First is going to be in there. And there's some other country champions that are going to be in that race.
Felipe Nystrom and Eris Sophocles, I think.
Yeah, 2 people that I have no chance at keeping up with. But my dumb brain's going to say, keep up with them as long as you possibly can, because you never know what's going to happen. And I know if I go do that, I'm going to just fall apart. I'm going to break. Something's going to cramp, and I'm going to end up hurting myself. And it's going to be like, all right, the whole rest of my summer is going to be spent doing physical therapy and not riding bikes. So I can't just go down there and do the ride for fun. Because what fun is that? And then if I'm going to go down there and just do it for fun, well, why am I going to drive 2 hours and pay $75 to go do a race just for fun when I could just do that in my own backyard?
Fun. Because you answered the question in the statement there. Why would I go pay $75 just to do this for fun? Because it's fun.
Because I'm an idiot, though. I'm going to go chase these guys and I'm going to break things.
Okay, so I have this constant debate, like I did a triathlon, whatever. Lance was out there that one year when I was like, I am not going to do well here, but we'll have fun and we'll heckle people and we'll have a blast and we'll talk to that old guy who is going to go on about his sex life or whatever it is. It has nothing to do with how well I did in the race. If you can find a way to where you can do the race and turn off that switch in your brain that's like, yeah, I'm going to turn myself inside out and kill myself. Like if you can turn that part off, you might have a good time.
Yeah, but you had to drive worth it. 20 minutes and you got free entry into the race and you just went out there and played.
Good point.
This is going to take 4+ hours of driving for me that day.
Yeah.
That's
and
I
going to
think
pay
that's the
$75 and I'm going to go down there and I'm not going to turn that switch off because, you just, your brain instinctively just goes into race mode and it's like a Labrador chasing a tennis ball. That lab could be on his deathbed. You throw the tennis ball, he's going to get up and start running and everything's going to fall off and he's going to for sure die. But
that poor dog.
Sorry, Pooch.
This analogy, that poor dog.
The poor dog.
He doesn't know any better. He loves the
You
ball.
still have 2 hours to make a decision, Jake.
Okay.
Registration closes in 2 hours.
Sorry.
Tune back in next week to find out
If Jake went and did
What
the gravel
stupid
race.
thing did
if
Jake
Jake
do this
is a
weekend?
dead Labrador.
Old Labrador.
Yeah.
That's my back pedal. I'm going to shut up now.
All right.
Go, Lance.
Yes, I did do the Belgian Waffle Ride, North Carolina. I did not do the 130-mile race. I did the 80-mile race that still had 8,000 feet of climbing in it.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was still... And these Belgian Waffle Rides, they're not gravel races, quote unquote. They're unroad races. They always do something a little rowdier.
Yeah.
Like they had several single track uphill sections and single track downhill sections.
What bike did you use?
I used my Oars.
Yeah.
Yeah, my BMC Oars.
And it was good.
It was good. Yeah, it
Had
was
the gearing that you needed or anything?
Yeah, it was fine.
problem.
Although the bike wasn't shifting all that great because it got beat to hell at
Unbound.
I had to replace my bottom bracket, and I broke a pedal. My shoes got ruined. I had to buy new shoes on the road.
Did you find a bike shop?
Yeah, in Emporia.
Okay.
In Kansas, there was actually Yuri Hoswald is a part owner in a bike shop right on Main Street.
Interesting.
So I just went in and bought the gravel shoes from him.
That's yours?
It's part.
He's part owner?
Merchant Cycles on Main Street.
Okay.
He's like 1/3 owner of that. Yeah.
Did he get you a deal on them?
There was a pretty good deal on
Sweet.
Good.
I was gonna say, did it hurt you a little bit inside to pay retail, but you didn't pay retail?
Absolutely, but I had to. I'm like
It's like either this or not bike.
It's like this or don't do this other race. I have to buy new shoes.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize my shoes were ruined, but I completely blew out the sole running through the mud. Anyway, so I did that race. I did way better than I expected to because 8,000 feet of climbing, that's not my thing.
And your expectations after Unbound were probably,
I-
you're like, yeah, this is a
I'm here.
participation award.
Yes, correct. Because we went to Asheville, North Carolina because my Brandy's brother lives there. And so we went to visit their family for 4 days and walked around Asheville and hang out with them. We had just a blast. There just happened to be a race, 30 minutes away. So I went and did the race. My start was terrible because
I watched a video
call-ups. Yeah.
of riders going by for like a minute and a half. I'm like, oh, there's Lance finally.
What they did is they had all the 130-mile racers line up first and the 80-mile racers after that. So there was 200 people
In front of you.
300 people ahead of me.
Was there anything distinguishing about their numbers or their plates that showed that? Okay,
I was rolling to the start chute at the time, so that I could get up front, and there was a dude there just saying, "Hey, wafer riders, you're gonna wait right here. We're having all the waffle riders go first." Which
I could 100% see Lance. Oh,
like-
oh, look at me! I'm at the front of this whole race.
well,
Cool.
as soon as they opened the thing, I did kind of weasel past about 40 people, but it wasn't. I still couldn't.
Still, had hundreds of
just
people. ahead of
hundreds
you.
of people, and there was nowhere to really.
No space.
To get past people, like in the first 10 miles, it was like full gas, whatever. Anyway, so when we hit that single track uphill section, and I'm behind all these, long distance riders, the wafer riders that had already stopped and were walking up it, and it was definitely rideable. But
It's like a slight uphill, like
was
3% grade.
but
and
it
you're
was
like,
single track, and
Yep,
so it was
no one's-
freaking people out. And
Yeah.
like if you just miss your pedal, or if you don't have the right gear, you're off
walking.
and walking. And so
and it's not even that. It's like, and stop.
And
It's not
there's-
even like we're
and there's
moving forward. It's
no
like,
passing on a single track
Yeah.
trail, and it was 4 miles uphill or something like that.
oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so by the time I got to the top and got around people, it was, okay, I'm just going to go as kind of hard as I can. With that much climbing, there really wasn't a whole lot I could do. But anyway, I ended up finishing. It was only 5.5 hour race for me, which was great. I actually didn't fall apart all that bad. It was also perfect weather.
Oh, good.
It was like 70 degrees and not too humid.
What nutrition stuff did you bring for
I'm
5.5 hours? You need stuff.
I actually never stopped at an aid station. I was able to do all of it with what I had on me, which was kind of surprising because it wasn't that
A
hot.
sweet pack and probably 2 water bottles.
We packed 2 water bottles, pocket full of nutrition. Yep.
What do you gels?
Nutrition.
I use.
I know, nutrition.
I had 5 SIS gels.
Okay, that's what I like.
Yeah,
I like those.
And then
Wait. were those the ones that have like 75 or 150 milligrams of caffeine?
Yeah.
Were they the 150s?
No, the
75s?
Yeah, the citrus ones that are 75.
Okay,
I might have a
if
whole
you had
bunch
the
of extra of
150s,
those
I
you
was
could
like,
have.
holy crap, that's a lot of caffeine. But yeah,
Yeah. So, and then in all, like my bottles and my USP pack, they were all heavy mix of the scratch mix. So there was a lot of calories in there too.
when Lance says heavy, he's not joking. I remember once,
You
it was
like
not
take
too
a
long
hit of
ago,
that and you're like,
I was
it's a gel.
Yeah.
It's a gel. No,
completely
it's
out of
scratch.
fluids. And Lance is like, here, have some of mine. He poured it in my bottle, took a swig. I was like, oh my gosh. It was like,
It's
Get those
pretty-
calories in,
It's
man.
pretty sharp.
yeah.
But yeah, calories are a big issue getting in
With
enough.
5.5 hour ride, yeah. So,
But it wasn't hot, so I didn't go through the fluids as fast as I thought. Like whereas Unbound, it was an issue. It got really hot and humid at Unbound, and so I fell apart at hour 5, because I was so cooked. Anyway, I got to the finish. I ended up hooking up with a guy. He wasn't in my age group, so we were able to help each other. We're like,
so competitive.
well, we rode together for several miles, and he finally says, "Hey, how old are you?" And I said, "I'm 53." And he's like, "Okay, I'm 59." And we were in. They had different age groups at Belgian Waffle
Yeah.
Ride. I was in the 45 to the 54 age
Oh,
group.
okay.
So I'm at the top of the age group, and I'm like, I've got no friggin' shot. So I didn't really worry about it. But then at the end there, we were picking people off, and
Nice.
we were
You had
moving
fun.
past people, and anytime it got rowdier, I was catching people, and so it all ended up pretty good. I ended up finishing way faster than I thought. I ended up being 18th out of 300 in the wafer
Bravo.
ride.
Well done, dude.
Bravo.
Yeah, way faster than I thought, and I ended up 4th in my age group. So at BWR, it was only a 3-person podium, so I did not make the podium at BWR. And the 3 guys who beat me were a former national champion, former national crit champion, former national road racing champion, and a dude from Australia who won the road race in Australia as well. So,
Oh, jeez.
So you had a chance.
Do you recall who the former crit champion was?
no, I didn't recognize any of their names.
Curious if I know him.
Yeah.
Do you know where he was from?
No, I remember just looking and going, okay, these guys are legit. That's
Like
fantastic.
heavy hitters, you're okay
Yeah.
with. I'm okay with my
Perfectly
4th place.
fine with that.
Love it.
So close.
So yeah, so it ended up pretty good. So I did way better there than I thought I would, especially after Unbound and kind of burying myself in Unbound, but my body responded pretty well. So
Real quick on the BWR, the Belgian Waffle Ride. The OG ride is down in San Diego.
yep,
Now they have that one in Nashville. No.
they have 6 races.
Is it 6? Okay, that was my question to you was how many of them are there?
There's 6, and if you do 4 of them, you qualify for their quadruple race thing, and your best. They have a big award for the people who do the best in the 4 races.
Really?
But you have to do San Diego and you have to do Kansas. There's one in Lawrence, Kansas, which is like an hour away from Emporia. So you have to do those 2 races, and you have to pick 2 other races if you're going to do their quad challenge.
And based on how you finish there, you get points and yada, yada, yada. And
Yep.
what do you get for an award or a prize? And how do they break the age groups down? So you said 45 to 54?
Yep.
And then 55 to
64. Yep.
And
There
it
were
probably
10-year age groups.
does it break down like that all the way
Yep.
down? Like, okay.
10-year age groups all the way down.
Huh.
So
Is that something you would consider doing in the future?
nope.
Nope. Not interested?
There's too much climbing in these races. The rowdiness of the races
Fun.
definitely suit me. That
Yeah.
was like fantastic. But
Well, here's a question for you, though. When you jump up into that next age bracket, and if you keep your training set right and you don't get injured, you're doing pretty good things right now.
peaks and valleys, man. There's a valley coming. I know that there's a valley coming. So
Love your optimism.
Lance is on point in the odd years.
it takes my peaks and valleys are generally about a year long. So
Yeah.
Mine are like once every 4 years.
It's a
4-year peak.
decade peaks and valleys.
And mostly down.
yeah, so I don't know. And plus, I don't know if they do the shorter version of these. It just might be the longer version that they do the quad challenge and whatnot. And I prefer to do the shorter races.
How many people are they averaging per race? Is it over 1,000?
It was interesting to go to BWR after being at Unbound. Unbound had 4,000 racers in it. The 100-mile race at Unbound had 1,200 racers. It was huge. This one had 850 total amongst all 4 race distances. 850. There was 3 race distances. Only 850
which is still
people.
pretty big.
Yeah.
So,
But it was weird. The spot in okay, the route was gorgeous. The trails were great. The views were amazing. I mean, that stuff was really cool. But oh my gosh, the venue was hard to get to. No parking. Difficult to park at.
Yeah.
You had to like park and ride your bike a couple miles to get to where the expo was.
Yeah.
It was.
How did Brandy get up there?
She parked and rode her gravel bike into the venue.
Did she ride with you, or did you say, "I'll see you up there"?
No, I went up there earlier because I have a 3 bathroom rotation I need to do before a race starts. And
Getting old.
and so she met me right before the start.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why she was up there.
Unbound is owned by Lifetime Fitness, correct?
Correct.
What other races does Unbound, or not Unbound, but Lifetime own?
Lifetime owns Leadville 100, Crusher and the Tusher, all the Sea Otter races, the Rad race in Trinidad, Colorado, the Big Sugar race in Bentonville, Big Sugar gravel race in Bentonville, and there's one other I'm missing, Shemamagan in Michigan, which is a mountain bike race.
So Lifetime, who is a fitness company that owns a bunch of fitness chain stuff, and I knew somebody that worked for them early on, and I kind of know their business model. Smart dudes.
Yep.
They're really good with they own like all of their property, they own all of their buildings, and all of the things that they need to support their businesses. They own all of those entities as well, so they've got it down. So they came in and bought all of these established races. Yeah. BWR ground up boots. Well, I don't know if it's bootstrapped, but it's definitely something that they built themselves, and they've got their 6 races. And I'd imagine that they're probably going to try and add another race or 2 because there's people across country that want to do this. Gravel's hot. Which entity is probably making more money? I guess. I mean, you'd have to say Lifetime Fitness.
All the attention is on Lifetime Fitness, or I should say most of the attention is Lifetime Fitness, and that's because they offered a $250,000 prize purse.
This is true.
So that attracted all the top bike racers, even the bike racers who weren't familiar with gravel or mountain biking were
turn their heads and like, who?
Yes, wait a minute. There's a potential for a payday here at these races, so I'm going to try to be invited to be one of the select athletes who gets into the whole series. So they really made a splash by putting money behind it.
Sure.
So BWR, Belgian Waffle Ride's been around for decades. It's been around since before gravel was even a thing.
Yeah.
So, and they were trying to, copy the Belgian classic races, which is why it's called Belgian Waffle Ride.
Yep.
And they name everything funny Belgian names, and it's a great organization as well. And they're trying to grow it, and they're trying to compete with Lifetime Fitness, but they are not winning that battle at the moment.
Again, you're not going to win against somebody like that that's got a massive, massive war chest of money to throw at this kind of thing. And, it's good. It's good for everybody. It's good for bike racing.
The only fear would be that Lifetime, there's a dip in whatever. I don't know if they're a public company or if they're if something would dip for some reason, recession kind of situation, I could see hitting their main business model hard. I could see them being like, yep, one day decision amongst the board members, and we're not doing any of this gravel junk anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
We're going to focus on our primary stuff, which is memberships of the, of the
their gyms.
whatever
Yeah,
their
the
gyms are. But yeah.
That's
So
where
that
the
would be-
money is for sure.
Well,
is the membership
and
of
that's
the
where the
gyms.
money is going. I don't think that. I mean, this is like a very much a side hustle for them, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting, and they have, like you said, they've got the budget to do big things. But I could also see them just turning it off any minute.
It's a good marketing thing for them, though. I mean,
It is.
We're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to say, the organization and the feeling and what happened and what went down at Unbound was just friggin' amazing compared to experiencing a BWR race. It was just a whole nother level up. Now, they've gotten a whole lot of heat in these last couple weeks. Unbound has. Because of the mud fiasco.
Yep.
Mudgate.
Yeah, there's a lot of hate and vitriol that has gone around the organizers because they allowed the mud to happen and they had a chance to route around it. And it caused a ton of damage to bikes and people, especially the amateur racers like me. You know, I'm in a position where I can fix my stuff and I can afford to fix my stuff, and a lot of people can't and had bikes ruined.
It goes well beyond that, though. I mean, people like plan their entire year around that race. There was a lot of
and it
investment
ended at mile 20.
Yeah, investment that like travel and hotels and training and all of the things.
And my 1 week of vacation I get a year, I'm going to do this, and I'm hauling my whole family with me.
Yeah. 20 miles into it, my bike is trash and my race is over, and womp womp womp.
Yeah. So some changes probably need to happen, but that's up to the race director and Lifetime for them to make those changes. The finishing chute was another fiasco for the finish of the pro men. It was a 7-up sprint after 200 miles. It ended up being a 7-up sprint, and they had to sprint through
the chute,
which was full of 100-mile and 50-mile amateur finishers.
They were hanging out?
No, they were just cruising in.
Oh, they were They were on course at the same time.
They were on course, cruising in, finishing their race, and Keegan is sprinting at 35 miles an hour down the side to skip, trying to squeeze
probably yelling
past.
as he's sprinting.
Yes.
They need to have like a bypass to start shooting people down.
They didn't do that this year. It converged at a really bad time. There was a dude with his phone out filming himself crossing the finish line because he was finishing the 100-mile race, and it took him 8 hours or something to finish the 100-mile race, and he was filming himself doing it, and he just about got completely taken out by Keegan out sprinting this World Tour pro who was there for the first time, and we didn't even know his name, and he's like a 2-time Tour de France finisher, and he's won like Belgian one-day races, and he was there, and
wow.
And Lachlan Mortar right on his wheel, and Peter Stettner right there, and Ian Boswell right there, and they couldn't sprint it out because the finishing chute was filled with.
Was that guy taking pictures or video?
He was taking video.
Did he get the whole thing of these guys flying by him?
I have no idea.
Oh, I want to see that so bad.
If he had like a good angle.
And like all the photographers, the press, they missed it because you couldn't see them coming.
Yeah.
You didn't know they were coming. You couldn't see them behind all the amateur racers. They needed a separate chute.
They need a separate chute for 200-mile finishers.
But
and they could do it up. They could make that a part of the benefit where it's like 100-mile finishers go to this little "you are pathetic, you are a baby" finish line, and the 200-mile. And I'm pointing to you because you get the little award here. Whereas the 200-mile finishers, you do something big and grandiose.
Well, even the 100-mile pros who did the 100-mile race, they were sprinting around 50-mile finishers. It was a bit of convergence, a bit of a mess for the top end people.
Yeah, that's like an oops, but that's an easy fix for next year.
Should be.
Like they should, if they don't learn from it, then get mad at them for that if they don't fix it next year. But this year's like, our bad. We'll own that.
It's interesting in really busy cross country races where you'll have literally 100 runners finish within 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Yeah. And what they do, and they have to keep people in order, right?
When they cross.
And so as they come across, they actually have these like cords or flags or whatever. And the people are coming in and you drag the thing across, and then that whole row is set aside. And then they do the same thing again. Another big batch of people comes in and they pull the cord across. And so they could do something like that where it's almost like multiple finish lines. And it's just like 50 right here, even though they would be like the same finish line, it could just be slightly divided.
Yeah.
I don't know. They'll figure it out. There's ways to do it.
There was some
blowback.
Some blowback from like the race winners.
Well, yeah.
That's like Keegan said something about the finish. He's like, this was unsafe. Look on Keegan's Instagram. He posted a video that one of the amateur racers caught from his front camera of the 5 pros just zooming past on the side.
It's like scary, right?
It's scary, yeah. And it's like, I mean, this is like the biggest race in the U.S. right now, and all the finishes all ended up at the same time.
Well, and think about it, like one turn of the wheel from some amateur rider,
Yes.
and those guys are going to go flying and break an arm at minimum.
The guy who was finishing the shorter race was right in the dead center of the whole thing.
As he should be.
And he if he had taken a glance behind him or knew those guys were coming, he could have been all the way to the right side and given them room. He was not. Dead center.
Yeah.
Keegan just like barely missed him.
Yeah. He should be in the dead center. That's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be finishing his race.
What would Lance Hepler have done if you were coming across that line?
You would
and
have
you
whipped
wanted
out
to
your
take
phone
your
and
phone
been like, yeah.
selfie, selfie, selfie.
Watch
You'd be
me.
like, this is awesome.
Wait,
He's finishing.
these guys are finishing. I'd have pulled over and like, taken video of them finishing if I knew
That's
they were
true.
coming.
Would you sprint with them? You'd be like, yeah, it's on.
He jumps on their wheel. He's
Just
like,
jumping
yeah,
on the
I'm
wheel.
going with them.
Watch this. Pretty crazy.
Okay, so Lifetime Fitness aside, we know that they've got, deep pockets and they've gone out and bought up all the races, and that's good for racing. I'm happy for that. I'm not knocking that whatsoever. Them aside, is there a bigger race series in the country than Belgian Waffle Ride? Can you think of
Then Belgian Waffle Ride.
the rides that they put on, any that generates more entries, more money, more notoriety, and that continues to grow and put more races on the calendar seemingly every year or every other year?
There's some crit series that do it. Like the Tulsa Tough Criterium has full age group, full different,
Is that just one race,
one
week?
weekend of racing
Okay.
where there's a race like every day for 3 days in a row.
Oh,
It's in
okay, I'm
Tulsa.
sure that does all right, but is that 6 races attracting 800 to 1,000 people per race?
Yes. That one is. Tulsa
Tulsa?
Tough is
That many
gigantic.
people?
Yeah, it's gigantic. It's every category. Amateur, professional, pros, elite, Cat 1s, Cat 2. You can do like just a Cat 2 race or just a Cat 3 race or just a Cat 4 race or the Cat 4 senior race or the Cat 3 masters. I mean, there's every single. They're doing crit races every hour for like 4 days at Tulsa Tough.
If there's
And there's the Tour of the Dairyland. Again, these aren't really that. None of them are as big, I don't think, as what Belgian Waffle Rides do.
BWR is 6 races, you said.
Yeah.
And if they're 800 to 1,000, you're probably somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 people that are doing their races. They're doing that many people at those Tulsa Tough races.
Yeah, I think there's several thousand racers that go to Tulsa Tough.
Huh.
Just thinking that's what Justin Williams trying to start another crit racing series in the U.S. He's trying to start something else. Trying to make it different. Trying to make it more like F1 hype. Trying to bring something unique. Which is fantastic. But that hasn't gotten off the ground yet.
Yeah,
So.
and eventually it will, because his name and Legion, they've got all the connections and they'll make it happen. And I guess my point is we have to applaud these people for what they're doing, and we want to see them succeed. We want to see more people follow in their footsteps. We want to see more bike racing in general, because it's good for the sport from top to bottom, from all the people at the pointy end of the race doing it the fastest and most competitively, all the way down to the casual weekend warrior that's not even racing. It's good for bicycle racing. So I don't know, just want to see more of that happen. All right. That's enough backpedaling. That was a long freaking backpedal.
Oh, sorry, I got.
Well, it ended up being more of a discussion about
it's
the
Those
different race
races.
organizations. So it's good.
I will say, I ended up driving through Bentonville, Arkansas.
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah.
I didn't mention that last week, but I drove through Bentonville on the way out to North Carolina, and then I went again on the way back because
How far did you go out of your way to hit it again on the second time?
like 2.5 hours out
Yeah,
of my way.
playground.
It's just the trails and the
the infrastructure is pretty solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I found some things that I didn't find before, and I'm like, what? They built this for. There's amazing stuff there. So
Are you moving there?
No, I'm
Get a
not.
little,
It's in
get a little
freaking
cottage
Arkansas.
there. Little cottage in Arkansas.
But Bentonville, the town, really super cool. Fayetteville, fantastic.
Isn't that the one that Walmart threw a ton of money at?
Yeah, so everything is free there. Like you go to North Carolina, you go to a mountain bike park, you got to pay like $20 for the day to ride in their park.
Wow.
But Bentonville, it's all covered by the Walton Foundation. So all this Walmart money, a couple of the Walton kids are big into mountain biking, and they have put millions and millions and millions of dollars into the bike infrastructure there, and they're trying to build it as a mountain bike destination site or the best place to go mountain biking
And they're
in the
doing
US.
it, man. I think honestly, like they've had some big races there. It's kind of becoming
Big
a thing.
Sugar is there. Fayetteville with the cross world championships were there.
Don't you feel
Cyclocross
like
world championships?
We're almost at the point right now where you could be like, "Yep, mission accomplished. You have done what you set out to do."
They've done well with it. It's been pretty amazing.
We'll see.
So
Yeah,
lots of
it's-
good stuff there.
We'll see if they keep doing more.
I will say I have not found better trails anywhere in the U.S. than what I've seen in Bentonville. What it's missing are views. It just you don't have views like you have in Moab or in Park City or in Breckenridge or in Crescent View.
So
It's Arkansas.
It's Arkansas.
Bessos, Gates, Musk, if you're listening to this, don't let the Waltons do you like that. You can build something so much better here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
And there's some great stuff right here in Clark County, Washington. You could kill it. Let's
invest.
Let's invest. Let's do this. Let's be
What else are you gonna
the
do with that
destination. So
Some Bezos and Bill Gates money should be building some. There's
Yeah.
some stuff that could happen for sure.
They need to be interested in cycling.
I know.
Which they're not.
They're not.
They're interested in outer space.
Correct. Yeah, not happening.
hit him up on Instagram, Lance.
So Bentonville, fantastic. Then I rode through Colorado and Utah, and I couldn't stop to. I could not stop and ride a couple places in Moab and in Provo, and I had a good time. So.
And you still made really good time getting home. I thought it was going to take you much longer to get home than it did. You were putting in some pretty chunky days of driving.
We did put in some big days. There was an outside chance that I could make it to this race tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure if I should go race. I don't know if it's really smart for me, but I still might go do it anyway. I haven't decided yet. I have an hour and a half now to decide if I'm going to go do this race.
Okay.
But we buzzed home so that we could kind of unpack and repack before we go to Oregon Trail this week. Oh my gosh, I'm talking a lot. That's enough for me. You've heard enough. I'm doing too much crap.
Well, you got to do one last thing at some point.
One last thing, Matt, go.
There's always a video to check out. There is a video about. Did we talk about Apple Watch? I think that's the last video that I posted. The
You
Watch
and I
OS
talked
10.
about it. I can't
You
remember if we
and I
talked.
about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast. If not, it doesn't matter. You guys can go check it out. It's a video about the Apple Watch, the new operating system that they have, Watch OS 10. Might have mentioned it last week. I have no idea.
You get
This
good traction
week-
on YouTube when you talk about Apple related stuff. Is that
do.
video hitting?
It's doing okay.
Okay.
It started up okay and then it kind of trailed. But there's just a lot of good stuff on the channel right now. Like there's a whole bunch of Garmin stuff, watches that are on there that are, all of those videos are performing well and stuff like that. And so
Good.
it's interesting. And then the video that I'm cranking away at is the Epix Pro versus the Apple Watch Ultra. That should be
Dun, dun, dun.
It'd be great if that video was out today. I guess I'll post it tomorrow morning. I don't like posting things on Saturday morning, but got to get one out for the week.
Sure.
So
You like that Epix Pro? Did you get one, Jake?
Maybe.
Look at his fat watch on his wrist. That's the trick. Okay, and but
Wait, let me see the flashlight.
flashlights.
Oh,
I know, right? You switch it to red.
I did. For Matt's recommendation. And
well,
I walk
if
around
you're
my
good
house
at
at night. Everything's red now. I have all my switches set to like smart switches. And I tell that A-word lady to turn everything off, and I turn on my red light so I don't have the lights interrupting my eyes so I can
There
go to
you
sleep.
go.
So.
Yep. Yeah. So I think the next video is I mentioned the one that I'm working on right now, and then there's a watch release coming up the week after that, and I'm gonna do an Apple Watch, and then their little like pass over to the computer as a bike computer. That's all gonna be, I think, like in a couple of weeks. There's gonna be a video specifically about that. So a lot of watch type stuff coming out in the future, but I need to kind of look around for some other content that might be more interesting. Maybe something along the lines of like follow Evan for a day or something like that. I need to do something non-watch
Yeah.
related, or else I'm gonna go crazy. Yeah. So go check out the channel, subscribe. You could be the person that puts me over 20,000 subscribers. Yes. Could be you, Lance.
I'm
Could
already
be
a
you.
subscriber.
Unsubscribe, then
Should I
subscribe.
unsubscribe?
It would be
Subscribe
pretty
again.
cool if YouTube told you who the person was that
They
subscribed,
should do that.
so that you can
You could like go give them a shirt or something
Yeah.
or celebrate. Yep.
Sweet. Lance, one last thing.
I'm doing Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder this next week, 5 days stage race on the gravel, kind of like gravel summer camp. Should be a whole lot of fun. Some big days in there, like 92-mile days with 10,000 feet of climbing.
Ouch.
So,
Good times.
well, yeah, just gonna go have fun. Brandy's driving me around in the van, so
You're gonna die.
I'm probably gonna die.
My one last thing is the conundrum lives on. I don't know if I'm going to race tomorrow or not. You're going to have to tune in next week to find out, right?
And we think we're going to do a tour preview next week, or do we have one more week in there, don't we?
Tune in to find out next week. We may be doing that next week or the week after. All right.
love it.
We will be back next week with another one of these. And until then, bye for now.